So, I've been asked about this on my regular channel, which is weird, because my regular channel is hockey. The Shield. So the Shield get back together, and I'm watching a special on WWE right now about the journey to SummerSlam, which shows the career trajectory of Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose. And Seth turning against Ambrose and all that stuff. And, there's opportunities wasted. So, when people ask me about the Shield being put back together, I don't have a whole lot of opinion on it because obviously it's being done to turn Ambrose heel. But there's an incredible opportunity that was missed with Roman Reigns. Because back then, all those years ago, when they gave Batista the shot at WrestleMania, I think Royal Rumble, while it's nice and it's fine to have your long-term pictures, I think the fans and their opinion on who should win it should be taken a little more seriously than it is. You don't have to change the finish, but acknowledge the fans aren't happy. And when Batista won that one, the fans were really angry, and Daniel Bryan got inserted into that match pretty darn quick because WWE realized nobody wanted to see Orton versus Batista again. So what has WWE done with Roman since then? Well, not a lot. Not a lot. Giving a guy a title, pushing him and making him look superhuman doesn't advance his character or his connection with the crowd. But Batista was booed because he got pushed when he shouldn't have been, and WWE doesn't learn this lesson. Push guys at the wrong time. Like when Rusev initially was pushed, he was pushed too fast, too far. Now the fans are clamoring for Rusev to get a shot at a title run, and for whatever reason, WWE doesn't seem to want it. Oh yeah, no, you watch Rusev on Twitter, you talk to Rusev outside of the WWE ring, and he is a very entertaining, articulate, funny guy. Not that I've talked to him in person, but just what I've seen with him in interviews and just backstage stuff, and I recommend the Up, Up, Down, Down channel, run by, I want to say Consequences Creed, but that's not his name anymore. Anyways, the WWE's unofficial gaming channel, as it were. And, man, Rusev is just hilarious. Rusev is really funny. And what does WWE do? Well, they give him a flag, they tell him to yell at everybody, and they make him a beast. Okay. But remember, back in the Attitude Era, what made it work? You took guys, let them be themselves, and just amp it up a little. So let Rusev be himself and amp it up a little. The best thing ever was when he was sitting at a table talking about himself, and then they talked about the main event, and I think it was John Cena against Roman Reigns, and he just goes, who cares? And he spoke for all of us. And it's like, okay, let him be him. Let him be himself. Get rid of these stupid, crappy ideas and let him be himself. It's sort of like when Lana was separated from him, and this is going back to Roman Reigns, trust me. When Lana separated from him and now she's wrestling, why is she still talking with a Russian accent? She's not Russian. We know her name is CJ. She's on Total Divas. This is stupid. Let her be herself. The crowd will cheer for her because she's beautiful. And she's more articulate using her own accent than she is using the Russian accent. So if she can cut a promo, and she's shown with the whole Russian accent she can, let her be herself. Back to Roman. So where it went wrong for Roman is that they pushed him too fast, they pushed him too far, and they pushed him at the wrong time. The crowd booed him. At any time in the previous 25 years of watching wrestling, when the crowd turns against a fan favorite, that fan favorite turns. Rocky Maivia being the ultimate example of that. The Rock wasn't born The Rock. He was Rocky Maivia. The crowd hated him. Die, Rocky, die. So he joined the Nation of Domination, became The Rock, and the rest is history. Roman Reigns, the crowd turned on him years ago. I watched footage from a SmackDown from 3 years ago yesterday. The crowd was booing him then. The crowd literally turned on him years ago, and WWE is still trying to push him as a face. Every now and then they kind of push him tweener, and they hint at maybe he's going to turn evil, but he doesn't. Last second, he doesn't. And the only way this is going to work, the only way Roman as champion is going to work, turn him heel. This whole reuniting of the Shield, have Roman turn heel. Have Roman destroy Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. Don't turn Ambrose heel. Yes, Dean Ambrose as Jon Moxley on the Independents as a bad guy was fantastic. Nobody can cut a promo the way that Ambrose does. Ambrose is fantastic. Sadly, they've made him goofy. WWE took his crazy and made it goofy. Don't let the crazy be too strong, or you're goofy and nobody will take you seriously, and that's what they did with Ambrose. So, the only one of the three that's been really solid all the way through is Seth Rollins. Because it feels like Rollins is playing an amped up version of himself. They show him here talking about developmental, and he said, I was the best guy there. And I knew I was the best guy there. And I believe it. I believe him. When Roman Reigns goes in the ring and goes, I'm not a good guy. I'm not a bad guy. I'm the guy. I don't believe it. I know that's scripted. I know somebody handed him a script and said, memorize this. I've seen Roman Reigns doing media where he's just himself. He's entertaining. He's smart. He's articulate. He's got the look. He's got the personality. And then you see him in a ring, and you give him a microphone, and he turns wooden. There's a disconnect between the real guy who plays Roman Reigns and the character Roman Reigns. So therefore, you're going to have a disconnect between the fans and that character. And rather than try to rework him, and you don't need to change his gimmick or his name or anything, Rocky Maivia just became The Rock. Roman Reigns can just become Roman, King Roman, whatever he wants to call himself. Just build him up. Build him up as a monster, sort of like what they did with Strowman, except Strowman, I think they kind of got right. Braun Strowman, I'm concerned with, because when monsters come in and they're unstoppable, but then they lose all their main event matches, they turn into Kane. Kane/Glenn Jacobs clearly is a guy who's got no ego. Same as Big Show, there's no ego there. So they end up being the guys that lose. The guys that are against you are like, well, I'm not losing. And they go, all right, I'll take the loss. And when you do business that easily, at least from what I've seen in documentaries and what I've seen on television, the guys who are the really nice guys, they're not necessarily the ones that get to the top. Rollins right out admits, just straight out admits, yeah, I got an ego. And if you've got an ego, you go far. That's what made The Rock work. That's what made Stone Cold work. Stone Cold's chip on his shoulder for his mistreatment in WCW made Stone Cold. I mean, eventually it was, his fight with McMahon and with everything else. But it was that frustration with the way WCW treated him. And I think it was frustration with the Ringmaster character WWE gave him initially. I think he realized that wasn't him. So when they gave him a shot to be himself, he took it and ran with it. Do that with Roman. I don't understand it. Roman Reigns is legitimately a great wrestler. The other thing I don't understand is I watched Roman Reigns in NXT. And he's a good wrestler. And what I don't understand is these guys getting called up from NXT, and Shinsuke Nakamura is the latest one. And it feels like when they're in a WWE ring on SmackDown or Raw or a pay-per-view, they're not allowed to do as many moves. The wrestling is sort of by the wayside, and it's all drama. If they want to solve their issues with wrestling fans tuning out, bring back the wrestling. The drama's going to be there in the wrestling. For me, that's part of where Roman's been mishandled. Is that he's not doing all of the moves that he did in NXT. Now it's all about the Superman punch. It's about the spear. It's about the big slams and the power bombs. And it's not about the fact that he can legitimately wrestle. Like John Cena. For years it's been, five moves of doom. Yeah, because that's how WWE books him. John Cena can wrestle. he can wrestle really, really well. He really can. So again, this is why I can go to house shows. This is why I can enjoy the product and still at the same time say, you know what? It could be better. All they have to do is take their own advice. Don't push a guy too soon. Let the guy be himself. Don't have cartoonish characters. I'm looking at the Funkadactyls, and I'm definitely looking at Brodus Clay here. Brodus Clay comes in, big monster heel, and then he's a dancing fool. And it's like, wait, what? No. No. That's not it. Like, and I was not a Brodus Clay supporter. I thought that his character was it had been done before. I thought the monster heel had been done before. And yet, when they made him a goofy dancing guy, I'm like, yeah, or just go the absolute opposite way and destroy any credibility he had. That's a good idea. That's a fantastic idea. Smart move. Awesome. Great move. Fantastic. Really awesome. Like, 2 words. Sexual chocolate. Every time WWE has tried goofy over the top, it's been bad. And part of it is the fact that WWE writers aren't necessarily funny. They're not necessarily funny. So what we see doesn't necessarily work. Right? There's nothing worse than bad comedy. There's nothing worse than Dolph Ziggler standing in a ring and telling jokes and going, these aren't funny. He's just embarrassing himself out there. And then you hear Dolph Ziggler in a comedy club, you hear his stand-up and you go, actually, he is funny. And you realize, oh, so that stuff had to have been scripted. He tried to make it work and he couldn't. And it all comes back to the Roman Reigns issue. Let him be himself. Have cameras follow him around like this a bit. You've got Total Divas, which is this absolutely stupid, ridiculous, awful show. Just awful. But it's watchable because, you know, we get to see behind-the-scenes WWE stuff. Why not give us more of that? Just have a camera crew that follows, you know, behind-the-scenes Raw and SmackDown. And follow one superstar every week. And give us that behind-the-scenes look at a guy. What made Mick Foley work, and this is my last point, what made Mick Foley work was us seeing him backyard wrestling, going through a table from, or no, he hit a mattress from the roof of his house as Dude Love, and it worked. Because we're all wrestling fans. We've all done that. I used to wrestle with friends of mine in middle school. They always say, don't try this at home. You try it at home. And we were safe. We were careful with it. You know, we never did the suplexes. We knew how. We would lock in and go, all right, this is how you do it. And then we'd be like, all right, we're not doing it. But yeah, headlocks, figure 4, Boston Crab, sharpshooter. Yeah, no, we would do all that. And to see that Mick Foley was one of us is what made him relatable and made him the legend that he is. His wrestling, Cactus Jack, fantastic. All of his work was great. But what really bonded him to the crowd was when we realized Mick Foley was one of us. Make Roman Reigns one of us. And the crowd will respond. But first, you got to make everybody hate him. Worked with Stone Cold. Worked with Bret Hart. Worked with Shawn Michaels. Every big face in wrestling was a heel first. Even Hulk Hogan was a heel first. Make the crowd hate him. Hate him, hate him, hate him. With Roman, they're ahead of you there. And then when he turns, it'll mean more. It'll get the crowd going. And there are ways to do that. When The Rock turned face, it was awesome. When Stone Cold turned face, it was awesome. You're going to have to kill me, Brett. I remember that line because I believed it. And that's the problem with Raw and SmackDown right now, is when they deliver these lines, a lot of the time it's so scripted and it's so hard to believe. So I've subscribed to the WWE Network again for this channel for you guys, even though I know that the money's not there on this channel, but it is a passion of mine too. It's not all hockey all the time, but wrestling's important to me. It's always been important to me since 1984. So I know my wrestling, I pay attention to it, I just don't talk about it very much. And it's not as good as it used to be because it's not as real as it used to be. Yeah, the action in the ring is scripted, But when they talk, when they do promos, when they cut against each other, part of you should be saying, I don't think these guys actually like each other. Like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. Like Shawn Michaels and anybody back then. You knew he was an ass. You knew everybody legitimately wanted to hurt him. And it made it more compelling to watch on TV. Bring that back, and I think you get some of the fans back. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And I'm also intending to do a video on wrestling where I discuss... I want to do a video on 5 guys that should be dominating wrestling, and for whatever reason they're not right now. So that's coming up. I'll probably wait until after Survivor Series for that, but maybe not, because Survivor Series looks like a joke anyways. And I intend to do a live reaction stream during Survivor Series. So that'll be the first live stream on this channel, and I hope you'll be there for that. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe buttons are your friends, as I say on my other channel, and I'll talk to you again soon.